Hello and welcome back to another video. Today you join me with my pit bike. Now overall the bike is in alright condition. It looks the part, however there is a lot that needs work. Number one, down here on the engine, the exhaust is held on by a cable tie as the bolts where it mounts on has snapped off, so they definitely need replacing, and also we need to get them out, which could be quite a challenge. However, around here on the exhaust as well, it is held on by a cable tie, and so is the CDI box. And then coming down here, the chain is also too long. We could potentially move it back a slight. We might need to take off a couple links. And overall, the bike is sitting a bit too high for my liking, and I think the rear wheel needs to come down, and maybe we need to shorten the front forks and see what we can do. As well as all of this, the rear and front wheel as well, everything just feels very stiff. And if we come around to the front wheel, although it may look good, it is again really stiff, so we're gonna have to change around these wheels. I've got some spare wheels, we can experiment whichever fits the best. Now the bike needs a lot of work, non-cosmetically, whatever word that is. But first of all, we want to make sure it looks good, which is why we've got a golden tyre paint pen, and we're going to make all the logos on the tyre gold. To be honest, now I'm looking back at it, I do think it might be a little bit tacky, but we did actually end up changing this wheel anyway, so it doesn't really affect us too much. So to be honest, I'm not really sure why this was the first thing I decided to do, but I had the tyre pen laying around and I thought, why don't we do this to the bike? Now next, I was taking off all the plastics on top just so we can see more of the bike and see what needs work and what doesn't. So although the exhaust is only held on by cable ties, this would mean that getting it off was quite easy, and all we had to do was cut 3 cable ties. So we're going to remove the exhaust so we can get to more of the bike, and we can also get to that rear shock and hopefully try and lower it down. Now this video is going to be in several parts. I think over the winter we're going to complete this bike as a full project, and I think we're definitely going to try and make it as good as possible, and I think it definitely has a lot of potential. There's just lots of parts that need swapping around, and I think over time we'll definitely make this bike very good, and obviously this will all be in future videos. So if you enjoyed this one so far and you do enjoy it to the end, make sure to like and also make sure to subscribe. Now that we've removed all of that, we can now reach this spring, which means we can hopefully lower the rear end by, I believe if we move this down to the bottom, that'll make this spring move more, which I'm hoping will make it just sit a bit lower, just to make it look a bit better, because at the moment it's sitting sort of really triangular. So we're going to try and see if that works, and fingers crossed it does. Now this was probably one of the hardest jobs, and in the end this didn't actually work, as it didn't really want to move, and I don't think it would have made much of a difference anyway. So here I have an old frame which was actually what was on before this, and however this is a better frame to be honest. I like how the rear swing arms like this and not like that. However, the stem was just a tiny bit too long for all the forks. I couldn't find any forks that would even fit this, so we did end up swapping over to this frame. Whether the swing arm would fit, I think the swing arm would fit, but it's the part of this here. However, I do have a longer. I'm going to go and measure another spring, and I'm going to see how that comes out. See, if we come over here past the engine, you can see there's this longer spring here, which I don't know if it's going to fit. So let's go and take it out, and let's see if this will fit onto. So here it comes, it's sort of too short, but I think let's swap over swing arms and let's see how this turns out. This could be a big challenge, but let's see what happens if we swap over the swing arm from this onto that frame. So we've taken off the swing arm bolt, we've just got to undo this, and then we've got to take away the rear end off the bike. So now I'm just gonna let out all of this. So just to make it easier, we're gonna remove this wire, and we're gonna leave the brake on for now, as this brake would come in handy, as the rear swing on that doesn't even have these mounting bolts. So I'm not actually fully sure how you're meant to have a rear brake, but hopefully this will work. I don't even know if this will fit. I'm just hoping all this work will work, as I'm not sure what's going to come out of here, and there's not much, I don't believe. But now we're going to take off this bolt here, and then we're going to take apart the back here. Right, so first we got to remove this chain. So we're going to find the clip, and this is where being understand could be a bit easier. However, we're going to down here, so lifting it up now, and then I'm going to sort of drop it just slightly, and we're going to put that in. And now all it's going to be is pushing back on here with the pliers. We just want to get it so it's really. And there we go. So we've got that part off. Now all we've got to do is just take this off, and then this part here will follow. And then we just push it out like this, and then the whole chain should just simply come off like that. I'm just going to stick a pair of gloves on actually, and now we're just going to slide it out, and we're also going to make sure we don't lose any of this stuff by just pushing this in here, and then picking up this, and then we're going to we'll just stick it on as long as it's on. And next we're just going to remove the wheel, which is actually already loosened. So we're going to just simply drop it out and then pull it out, which sometimes is a bit tricky. But we're just going to drop a 70, and that will come out smooth as butter. And there we go, the wheel is now removed, which means all we've got to do now is take off the shock and take off the bolt. So here we're just using a 12 and a 14 just to remove the suspension bolts, and then we can also do the same on the swing arm. Right, so we can now remove the rear swing arm off this bike, and now we can see if the other one fits. First of all, well, let's have something to eat because it's absolutely boiling outside. With that done, let's crack on with the build. Okay, so now we've removed this old swing arm, but we're just going to move over here for now. We've got the new one here, well, the old one, and all we're going to do is just put that in and hope it works. We've got this loosely on. Now let's see if it will fit. Now I'm really hoping that this is going to fit, because I'm certainly not fitting all of that back on, that's for sure. So now is a moment of truth. It's gonna, this part fits on perfectly, which is good. Now will this part go on? Yes, it will. Right, that's brilliant. Alright, so this fits for sure, which is good. Now let's fit it on. So this is quite an easy task. I'm still not certain if this is going to fit correctly, and there will have to be future upgrades and changes. However, for now, it's going to go on. Well, it fits on for sure. It is sitting quite high, which I'm not actually even sure if this rear wheel. Let's see if this rear wheel will fit on. So just roughly, it will fit on, but it's going to be very close to the top. So I think this will be quite a low bike. At the moment, it's going to be squatting until we figure out how to make this suspension. We could unloosen this bolt here and also unloosen these bolts on both sides and make it sort of slide up a bit. And I think that's what we're going to have to do. So this bike's going to be running quite low, so it's going to be almost like a supermoto, but all we can do is try it and see how it goes. Next, let's think of what we're going to do. We're going to put the wheel back in, and I'm going to put it in time lapse, as I've got to find all the bolts and make sure it fits on nicely. So I definitely do prefer this swing arm, as the rear wheel does fit in quite nicely and it doesn't feel all stiff like the new old one. So now we've got the original swing arm back in, this will definitely make it a lot nicer whilst having the new frame in still. So yeah, it's going to be a big project, but it will take time. Right, so we have successfully fitted the rear wheel, and boy is it really low now. It is going to look good once we lower the front as well, but I think first let's lower the front and then we'll make sure both sides are equal, and then we get on the floor and see what it looks like. So for this task here, it's sort of easy and it's sort of not at the same time, if you know what I'm saying. So what we're going to do is we're going to get a 10 on here, and then we're going to get an Allen key on this. I'm not sure first, we're going to have to try it out. But we're going to get the 10 drill on here, and then we're going to get, let's get the Allen key. I believe it's this side, I'm not 100% sure, but I don't think it'll fit it, yeah. And this is actually quite loose, to be honest. Look. So we're going to unloosen both sides here, and now that we've done that, we're going to get something that can go underneath, which is straight. So I'm just going to find something. This box is actually perfect. So we need this drill box and just press the underneath of it, undo it, and I can't see it's going to work. Let's try another front. It's never been this hard to get out, so. I'm not sure why it's let's get the other drill. Let's get the 10. So we've got 10 now. And then, as simple as that, good quality drill, really sharp. And now we're going to actually make sense to remove this, actually. So, now that we've done that, that's gone right up, especially on. We're going to grab a straight ruler and we're just going to make sure It's just straight enough. And this side, yeah. So now that's sort of straight enough. Eyeballing it, it's just a tiny bit higher. So. Now at this point I was actually using an Allen key trying to sort of hammer it down with that, as that was the best I could find. Now here I'm taking off the rear brake, so off the old frame, so then I can put on the new one, as the new one didn't even have a rear brake. So now we're going to be fitting on the master cylinder for the brake onto a new frame. However, how it mounts onto this frame is actually a lot lower on to how it mounted onto the old frame, which is a bit weird. So I do actually end up taking this off and putting it a lot higher off camera. So now the whole rear end brake system was in place. See, as you can see, I mounted it a bit higher. Don't worry, the pedal isn't like that, it's just how it's on the stand. But now it is all fully connected. I'm just doing up the last bolt, and whilst I'm doing this, my dad's in the garage working on the car, taking off the engine. So I've had to order a new rear shock, as this one is far too low, and I've ordered one off AliExpress for £20. But hopefully that'll do the job, as you can see it's too low, it's literally unrideable. So now it's sort of looking like a Harley, how it's leaned back like that, but is what it is, and we'll have to do with that for now. However, this is going to be, as I said, a whole series of videos on this bike, making it better, making it the best it can be. That's it for today's video. Next weekend we're at Wigan, which is going to be a really interesting one since it's the final round of British Kart Championships. So today and then the weekend after that, we're going to have more pit bike content. So make sure to subscribe, like this video if you enjoyed it, and stay tuned for the next one. Thanks for watching.